Okay, so recapping for the benefit of the recording, what I've done so far already. We went through the graphic picture of the stuff we did last class session, which basically came up to here, where you're generating reports on sample customers. Then what we're going to talk about today is sort of cherry picking and designing different channels for your guerrilla marketing campaign and tracking information on customers. We talked a little bit about the things that it's important to identify for the guerrilla marketing campaign before you get started, and then we just finished talking about the four different types, the main types of marketing channels that you use for a guerrilla marketing campaign, that being word of mouth, online, offline, and events. I put in here for you guys as well some information on mainstream advertising media. Outdoor advertising is basically billboards on the side of roads. Radio and TV are what they sound like. Print is magazines and newspapers and stuff like that. Anybody in here know what the acronym CPM stands for? It stands for cost per mil, which is the cost for every 1,000 people that see your message. So you can see here $2, $5, $4. It's pretty cost effective to do mainstream marketing. The problem is that you can't buy just 1,000 people. You have to buy 100,000 or 500,000 at a time, because there's no way to control how many people see the billboard. So you're basically buying coverage for the entire city of Bakersfield when you just really want to target a certain niche of people. So mainstream marketing can be really effective, but you usually have to pay a pretty high price to get in the game to begin with. Guerrilla marketing has a much lower cost to get in the game initially. But both with guerrilla marketing and mainstream marketing, why did it do that? With both guerrilla marketing and mainstream marketing, the key is a combination of three things: how big the price of what you're selling is, how many people purchase for a given CPM, and how many purchasers become repeat customers. That's sort of the magic formula of guerrilla or my mainstream marketing is to maximize those three factors. Guerrilla marketing channels. For word of mouth, there's basically four sub-elements of the word of mouth campaign. Social media outreach, which basically involves posts on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, forwarding information from among your friends and their friends and their friends to get the word out about your product or service. Text outreach, basically sending the similar kind of message to what you sent on social media via text on the phone. You can also, of course, reach out and call people on the phone or meet with them in person to tell them about the product or service. Online elements of online marketing channels. Google AdWords is if anybody indicates that they use Google searches to find your product or service, then you're going to want to design a Google AdWords campaign, basically advertising your product or service in the right-hand column of the Google search results, and that how that turns up is based on the keywords that you select and how much you pay per click. Those are things you can all those things you can determine when you set up the marketing campaign. And a Google AdWords campaign can be very, very cheap and cost effective. You could even do it for $10 or $50. You set the budget for whatever you want it to be, and pretty easy to control. SEO stands for search engine optimization. Another way to go, in addition to Google AdWords, is to improve the level at which your website appears in the main Google search results, not the paid advertising. And in order to get that to pop up higher, there's various vendors which will help you maximize how your website is found by Google, and help you to pop up higher in search results. Groupon is a good option for online marketing. Yelp, yellowpages.com, blog postings, email blasts, and banner advertisements are some of the other elements that come in there. For offline marketing, we're basically talking about posters, brochures, and what I like to call other. So it could be little flyers, could be matchboxes, could be pens with your company's name on them, could be just any kind of little trinkets that advertise your company. And then finally, event marketing. There's 3 different types of event marketing that I like to focus on in this class: street teams, promotional events, and conventions and trade shows. So street teams are basically when you get a group of people to go out to a place where there's a lot of people. So go out to a shopping mall or go out to a restaurant or a bar and hand out materials about the company. So it's kind of a combination with offline. So you've got brochures that you're handing out, and you're sending people out, sometimes with the company's logo on their shirt or whatever, to tell people about your company at a certain event or a certain location with high traffic of people. Promotional events, kind of like Tupperware parties. Sometimes if you invite 10 or 20, 30 people to come over to your office or come over to your house to take a look at, to sort of play with the product for an evening, it's a really great way to get hands-on contact between the customers and the product. And develop a stronger attachment there. Conventions and trade shows are pretty much what they sound like. Depending on what your product is, there's always a certain kind of convention or trade show that focuses on that industry, and having a booth or an informational table at one of these events is also a good way to do event marketing. I've put together a big chart here of different details on the different types of word of mouth and online platform elements. So your website is first and foremost what you're all developing right now. I've put some information on pricing, useful apps, and then general comments in this chart for you guys. Usually, actually, it's even less than $50 to $100 these days. I think I pay $39.99 once a year for renewing my domain names, and about $10 to $20 a month for basic web hosting is all you need to have your website up and running. A couple of useful apps that you can go to Google and download, or go to the App Store on your phone and download, are Website Grader, which basically rates the performance of your site to help optimize how it pops up in search results, how other people are perceiving your site. And then Zamanta helps to produce online content. Google AdWords in a pay-per-click model. The pricing is about $1.04 per click, and $3.97 for the CPM, so that's also comparable to those offline CPM rates that we talked about, or the mainstream CPM rates that we talked about before. Google XML sitemap is a good way to index blog postings and websites in Google and other search engines. Helps it to pop up higher. Banner advertisements. So that's basically the side or in the middle of a website or at the top of a website. Those sort of graphic advertisements that you see are banner ads. My Etsy is a good app for that. It basically helps to import banners into Facebook pages. Blast emails. If you buy email addresses, it usually costs between 10 and 30 cents per address. The CPM for blast emails tends to be higher. It's about $100 to $300. MailChimp is a good app for this. It helps you manage customer newsletters. Blog postings. It's about $13 per blog posting if you have somebody do it professionally. And a good app for that is Editorial Calendar, which helps you to manage your blog postings with kind of drag and drop functionality. Facebook, free. Send Social Media is a good option for this. That basically allows you to post content both to Facebook and 30 other social media networks all at the same time. LinkedIn is also free, and a useful app for that is Creative Portfolio Display. It basically allows you to display creative work and other kinds of rich media in a format that fits into LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is kind of a resume format. It's not really designed for multimedia stuff. Creative Portfolio Display helps you to integrate multimedia content into LinkedIn. Pinterest and Instagram, Send Social Media is also good for those, just like it is for Facebook, and they're both free as well. Google Plus, free, and a good app for that is Document Display, which basically allows you to give visitors your website or blog postings, and they can like the content in Facebook. So it basically gives you a way to go from the web page directly to a Facebook like post. Twitter, also free. Crowd Booster is a good way to manage your Twitter marketing efforts and measure how people are responding, how your followers are doing. Search engine optimization. I wanted to say a few words about search engine optimization. Once you've got the basic online marketing portfolio together, so you've got your website, you've got your social media pages, you can do some things to maximize the frequency and the salience with which customers find you on search engines like Google and Bing. It basically involves augmenting things like text, media, embedded data features that are in the code but are not in the site that you see. Repeating certain words, how many times other websites point to your website. So basically how many other websites out there refer to your website. All of those things help you to appear higher in Google search results. So there's a variety of vendors that help you do this. You can also do it yourself with the webmaster tools of Google. If you choose another vendor, I've listed 3 here that are good potential ones. SEO Moz starts as low as $99 a month. SEOP is more like $1,000 a month, and Qualified Impressions could start as low as $250 and go up. They all help you to improve the results of your web page in Google searches. Tracking potential customers. So after you've got your whole guerrilla marketing campaign laid out, you need to have some way to track how you're recording information about customers as they come in. Could be an Access database, could be an Excel spreadsheet, could be, I've given you an example here of how I track contacts in Outlook. You can use the contact folder of Outlook to categorize contacts by different categories and so forth. There's also a couple of vendors that are good for this. Salesforce.com is kind of becoming the industry standard for tracking customers. NetSuite and MyDials are 2 other ones. Salesforce.com is definitely the most affordable of the 3. And then a few final words about selling and the rule of 10 again, just like I talked about when we talked about your career plans, and we talked about networking for your future interests. There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's always going to be somebody out there that wants what you offer. The challenge is getting through the process of finding them. You need to recognize and accept in any marketing campaign, any sales campaign, that it's a numbers game. So a lot of times you'll need to touch or reach out and contact at least 10 prospects for each real lead that you get, and you probably need 10 leads in order to get 1 new customer. So remember when you're designing your campaign that you need to get the numbers as high as possible in order to ensure that you actually get new customers from the campaign. Make sure to leverage social media and association member lists, databases that we have here access to at the university, like Merchant Online, Orbis and Reference USA we don't have in our library, but the public libraries have access to those. These are all good for finding basic information about companies and or individuals. There's a lot of information that you can get publicly before you ever contact a potential customer. So make sure that you learn as much as you can about your target customers from publicly available media. Document everything. No piece of information is too insignificant. Even the fact that you left a voicemail, or how long the voicemail was, what the voicemail greeting said when the other person's voicemail greeting came up. When emails get bounced back to you on your email marketing, any piece of information is important to keep track of. They all help you to get to know prospects better and start building a relationship. And then finally, don't take rejection personally. It's just part of the process. It's going to be the case whenever you do a marketing campaign. Finally, I wanted to talk briefly about face-to-face selling. It depends on the nature of your product, whether face-to-face selling makes sense or not. Usually, you need to have a price point over $10,000 in order for face-to-face selling to really make sense for the amount of effort and expenses that it takes. But a couple things to think about if you are doing face-to-face selling. Prospects become leads become customers, potential customers, and potential customers become actual customers by talking with them about the details of their situation and helping them relate that to problems that you can solve. There's a great system of face-to-face selling that I really am a big fan of. It's called spin selling. It was a couple books written by a guy named Neil Rackham. I've put the information on these books in the slides here. Anybody doing face-to-face sales, I highly recommend taking a look at these books. In this system, you basically, when you first start talking to customers, they're in a phase of decision making called recognition of needs, and there's 4 different types of questions that you ask people when they're in that stage of the decision making process. You ask them situation questions about the situation they're facing, problem questions about what are the problems with the current situation, implications questions, or what are the implications of the problems that you've identified, and then needs payoff. What is the potential payoff of solving these problems, and what's it worth to buy a solution that's going to help with them? You want to make sure to manage potential customers in each stage, kind of like a funnel. Like I said, ratio of 5 to 10 prospects for each successive stage of the process. So once you've gotten people to recognize that they need to do something, then they're going to evaluate what are the different options that I might be able to buy, and then they're going to settle on one option and resolve any concerns they have about purchasing that option before they do. So each of those phases, recognition of needs, evaluation of options, and resolution of concerns, should have 5 to 10 prospects each in order to wind up with somebody that moves on to the next stage. One last book that I like to focus on for face-to-face selling is called Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play by an author named Mahan Khalsa. It's a really good book for getting down to brass tacks in the conversations that you have with people about selling. Basically, telling the customer, look, I generate value this way. I think I can do that for you. Let's talk about problems that you have that I might be able to add value for, and I'd see if we can identify value. If there's no value to be identified, then we're both wasting our time by talking to each other. And it's a good book for really getting down to focusing conversations in the sales process. That's it for my relatively short lecture today on guerrilla marketing. Next week we will move on talking about what are we going to do next week? Competition, so competitor profiles, market positioning maps. We'll talk about the market environment a little bit. And all along the line, I want you guys continually improving your websites and reaching out to potential customers. So I think I've gotten about 4 or 5 emails from groups so far with the link to your website. If you have not emailed me a link to your website yet, make sure to do that before Friday. And That's it. Any questions? Yeah, we're going to get done a little early today. Hopefully that doesn't bother anybody too much.